Emergency evacuation involves movement away from a threat or hazard. Many kinds of emergencies can cause you and your family to have to evacuate, and these evacuations may be optional or mandatory. Some disasters can force people to leave their homes, neighborhoods, and even cities or states on fairly short notice. As you might not have much time to evacuate when a disaster happens, it's very important to have a plan in place to get your family out of danger quickly and efficiently. What if you were to receive a knock at the door from the sheriff's department and they urgently said you only have 10 minutes to evacuate? Do you know what to take and where to go? And could you realistically be on the road in 10 minutes? In this video, we cover the family evacuation plan and what it should include. How do you plan to evacuate? In some cases, you may have a day or two to prepare, while other situations might call for an immediate evacuation. Planning is vital to make sure you can evacuate quickly and safely, no matter what the circumstances. The state of Oregon has a 3-level evacuation notification system, each structured around the readiness, need, and threat level. In order to keep evacuation planning simple, straightforward, and staying in line with the state's notification system, we'll use the terminology and graphics directly from the Oregon.gov website. We'll go through each of the 3 evacuation levels in some detail, and we'll provide additional information as we go through this so that you have a clear understanding on what to include in your plan. If you live outside of the state of Oregon, we encourage you to look up your local, state, or regional evacuation planning information. But regardless of where you live, this video is a great resource for your emergency preparedness planning. In the past few years, we've seen record numbers of wildfires in the western United States, and this trend is likely to continue, along with the increased risk of flooding, landslides, and debris flows that follow wildfire seasons. This is just one example, and as you're doing this evacuation planning, it's a great idea to think about all of the different types of disasters that could happen to you based on where you live. Let's jump right into the 3 levels of emergency evacuation. Level 1. Be ready to evacuate. Be aware of danger in the area and stay informed. Sign up for local emergency alerts with your county. In Oregon, you can use oralert.gov to sign up for text and email alerts. You simply put in your zip code, and if there's coverage in your area, you'll register with your phone number and email. Check for updates through your local city, county, and emergency service websites, social media, TV, and radio. Think about how you would normally get your local news, and if it's a source that does not provide emergency information, find one that does. We highly recommend getting an emergency radio with the NOAA Weather Radio band and emergency alert access built in. Watch our emergency radio video to learn more about these. Have your emergency plan and go kit ready with supplies for health, safety, and identification. And we encourage you to watch our go kit and communication plan videos. Act early if you are older or have children, have family members with special needs, or limited access to transportation. The longer you wait, the more stressful and confusing it will likely be. If you have to evacuate to a shelter, you want to be early enough that there's room for you and your family. Consider moving pets and livestock early. Have this worked out well in advance so that you know where to take them. Plan possible evacuation routes. Identify where you and your family can go in the event of an evacuation. It's best to have more than one option. Maybe someone in town, a friend or a family member, a hotel, or even an emergency shelter, which we'll cover in a moment. And if possible, you want to identify the home of a friend or family member in another town, county, or even state that you can evacuate to. Keep the phone numbers and addresses of these locations handy. As we discussed in our Family Emergency Communications Plan video, pre-arrange a designated place to meet in case your family members are separated before or during the evacuation. Make the location specific. For example, meet at the playground at the park, and not just meet at the park. Ask an out-of-town friend or family member to act as a contact person for your family. Map out your primary routes and backup routes to your evacuation destinations in case roads are blocked or impassable for any reason. And try to have a physical map of the area available in case GPS satellite transmissions are down or your device runs out of power. Use the electronic tools that we'll cover here in a moment to help you determine the routes and then highlight those routes on a paper map. Use TripCheck.com or call 511 for road closure information. TripCheck is an excellent website by the Oregon Department of Transportation. Use this tool for both your route planning as well as during an evacuation to make sure your route remains clear. As there is a tremendous amount of information on here, I recommend unselecting all the features and selecting them one or two at a time to make the map less cluttered and confusing. Here you can see the expandable legend that clearly shows what each of these icons represents, beginning with road cameras. It will show you all of the working road cameras across the state of Oregon. Simply click on one with your mouse and a small window pops up with a real-time image of the road in that area. When we click on Incidents, we see closures and delays. If we hover over this particular delay icon, we see the estimated road closure is less than 20 minutes. Here we see a road closure. Hovering over this, we see it's a seasonal closure. If we click on it, we can get some additional information, including the precise mile markers where the closure begins and ends. When we select weather, we see a multitude of blue flags. When we zoom in with weather selected and click on one of these flags, we see that each of these represents an unmanned weather station that provides information in this pop-up box like temperature and wind speed. When we click on one of the blue and white circles, we see a weather warning, and here are the current restrictions and conditions that go along with that warning. And then when we click on one of these solid blue circles, we get a pop-up window that shows a severe weather hazard. Now, this one in particular is on a mountain pass with winter conditions. So we are given any current restrictions, along with weather and road surface conditions. Selecting restrictions, each of these little traffic cone icons gives details about the road construction happening on that particular section of road. And finally, we can select live traffic. As this pulls in real-time information from the Waze app, it will show current areas of heavy, moderate, light, and free-flowing traffic. Now, this might not be useful for planning routes in advance, but if you have time and this website is accessible during your evacuation, you might want to check to see if there are delays along your predetermined routes. And once you've determined your main and alternate evacuation routes using this tool, you can use a highlighter and mark them on your paper map, maybe using different colors for main and alternate routes. Plan for emergency shelter. You can call the American Red Cross at 1-800-733-2767 or visit redcross.org to see available shelters in your area. The FEMA app is another great resource to find open emergency shelters. If you can do so safely, check with your neighbors and share information. Don't wait to evacuate if you need extra time to leave or if you feel unsafe. At this point, we encourage you to practice. Give your family 10 minutes to have everything necessary loaded in the car. Practice until you can do it calmly and efficiently in that amount of time. Level 2, be set to evacuate. There is significant danger in the area. Stay informed and be alert. Continue to check for updates. Again, use your predetermined tools like your emergency radio or your local news sources. Time to act. Follow your emergency plan and grab your go kit of supplies. Each person should know where their kit is located and what their responsibilities are during an evacuation. Practice. If you have livestock, put your animal evacuation plan into action. If you've had sufficient warning, this should already be taken care of. Inform loved ones of your evacuation plans, especially the person designated as your family's emergency out-of-town contact. Conditions can change rapidly. You don't need to wait for another evacuation notice. Leave if you feel unsafe. Level 3, go now. Evacuate immediately. This is extreme danger in the area. Leave without delay. It is unsafe to stay, and it threatens the safety of you, your family, and emergency responders. Emergency responders may not be available to help you if you choose to stay. Do not stop to protect your home. Follow your emergency plan and grab your go kit. Leave as fast as safely possible. Drive carefully, turn on your headlights. Follow traffic safety warnings and instructions from local authorities. Once you're safe, check in with friends and family. If still available, use a tool like TripCheck to make sure your route is still passable all the way to your destination. Do not return until public safety officials announce the area is safe. Let's review. Learn the evacuation alert levels. Learn how to use emergency radios or local services to get informed about the disaster. Identify both local and out-of-area evacuation locations. Pre-plan your routes and alternate routes to get to those locations. Have your go kits and other emergency plans in place. Evacuate early, especially if there are family members with special support needs. And practice until your family can safely leave your home with go kits and other supplies within 10 minutes. This wraps up another video on making a plan as it relates to your emergency preparedness. Check out our website for additional tips and resources to guide you on your preparedness journey.